thank you from my heart, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you from my heart, from the bottom of my heart.
I just started recording these little daily serendipities, which then became very, very large. And I called them my daily miracles. So the one I would like to share with you where I knew I needed to make this a book was in my real life, in my real job, I happened to be in sales. And this is like November 2014. And at that time, my quota was not to be attained because it was way too high. And that was fine. I was going to focus on 2015 anyway. So out of the blue, I got a phone call from my client, Denise, who had already renewed. So it was kind of a done deal for the year. But she said, Elena, have you ever had a client renew in advance? And the answer is no. But I said, well, what do you have in mind? And I work with school districts. And she said, well, the school board may change with the upcoming election. And I want to secure my order for next year. So could I renew in advance? And I said, well, sure, Denise. What would you have in mind? And she said, could I have a 5-year contract? So I closed a $1.1 million order in about 2 weeks. So my figures went from nothing to stellar. And I knew that the miracles can be very huge.
Welcome to the Gratitude Podcast on www.georgianbenta.com, where you'll hear a new story each week that will inspire more gratitude in your own life. Our mission is to inspire 100,000 people to discover how to feel gratitude and live a happy life through the amazing life stories of our successful guests and their actionable tips. And now, the host of our podcast, Georgian Benta.
Hi, Gratitude Seeker. Welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. With me, I have Elena Anguita. She's an author, a speaker, a change agent who passionately supports education, literacy, and helping people learn. She launched the Spread Thanks Revolution, a movement to encourage personal gratefulness through the sending of daily thank you notes. I think this is a brilliant idea. We talked a little bit about it before actually going live, and I'm really enthusiastic about our conversation because I feel that it's so powerful and it's so it comes from a really beautiful place, and I really want to share Elena's story with you and what she wants to do in this world, because I can really feel that it's really beautiful, and the way she does what she does is you will feel and you will see. And without further ado, Elena, welcome to the Gratitude Podcast.
Thank you so much, George, and I'm honored to be with you today, and I'm so glad we had the opportunity for this time. Just basically to tell you my story, how this came to me about over 3 years ago, and I almost remember it like it happened yesterday. I was walking in my house and I was stopped dead in my tracks by what in my book I call a whoosh, something that stopped me. And in that whoosh, I saw a vision, and the vision said a thank you a day. And based on that, I had enough trust to start this practice of writing a thank you note every single day. And the thank you note was to a real person. It wasn't to the universe. It was to somebody. And it was a thank you note I actually made sure got delivered. So what I noticed immediately as part of the journey was that whatever mood I was in that day, whether it be a bad mood because it was raining out or a neutral mood, when I was done with my thank you note, my mood was elevated to one of gratitude. And so I would go on to my day in a higher state. And what I also noticed happening right away was that based on that, some little serendipity or something good would happen that day for me to be grateful for. So it was as simple as I would be driving to an appointment and my side of the highway was crystal clear and the other side of the highway was a parking lot. And I would say, whoa, good thing I'm on this side of the highway. And then I'd realize, wow, yesterday I found that perfect parking spot. And so I just started recording these little daily serendipities, which then became very, very large. And I call them my daily miracles. So the one I would like to share with you where I knew I needed to make this a book was in my real life, in my real job, I happened to be in sales. And this is like November 2014. And at that time, my quota was not to be attained because it was way too high. And that was fine. I was going to focus on 2015 anyway. So out of the blue, I got a phone call from my client, Denise, who had already renewed. So it was kind of a done deal for the year. But she said, Elena, have you ever had a client renew in advance? And the answer is no. But I said, well, what do you have in mind? And I work with school districts. And she said, well, the school board may change with the upcoming election. And I want to secure my order for next year. So could I renew in advance? And I said, well, sure, Denise. What would you have in mind? And she said, could I have a 5-year contract? So I closed a $1.1 million order in about 2 weeks. So my figures went from nothing to stellar. And I knew that the miracles can be very huge. So I just had to share that with you because that's when I knew I had to bring that level of magic to other people through writing a book. So anyway, that was the first big one.
That's amazing. I love the fact that you mentioned how it actually compounds, the fact that by doing this more and more, you get to have bigger and bigger miracles.
Yes.
I focus more on the podcast on another part that you also mentioned before we actually got live, the fact that it has such a positive influence on us as a person practicing gratitude.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about that part of your journey?
Absolutely. And actually, that's the best part because as you can imagine, having to write a thank you note every day to a real person, and you are paying attention to the person who helped you in the grocery store. I mean, you actually start paying attention to these tiny little transactions in your life. And so what happens is you become more mindful. So you become more focused on every moment of the day. If you're looking for your thank you note recipient, if you're looking for your daily miracle, that chatter in your mind actually slows down. So I found that to be like this immense benefit from it. But also, again, having to write a thank you note every day, you have to be creative. So I found myself having to write thank you notes in the past, sometimes to somebody who already passed away, like my mom. But in writing this thank you note, first of all, I felt this immense gratitude, but then there were healings that occurred at the soul level. So I thought, boy, what an amazing, magical way. And other thank you notes I had written are actually in the future. If I was going to a presentation and I didn't know what the outcome would be, and then I would write a thank you note to the person who organized the meeting, thanking that person for this great outcome. And then lo and behold, that outcome came to be. And I thought, I'm actually setting the intention for this wonderful thing to come into my life. So gratitude can work its magic in many, many ways. But the greatest, to me, the greatest benefit of all was that it's not about manifesting the stuff in your life. It's not the stuff. It's about the shift that occurs in you. You become a calmer person. You're less stressed. You're happier. You are looking at your day through a prism of gratitude. So to me, that's the greatest miracle of all.
Exactly. I've seen this shift in my life as well. And I totally agree with what you're saying. And the fact that in my view, amazing things are happening each and every day.
Right.
But we are not trained to see them. We are trained to much more to see the things that stress us, the things that we feel threatened by one way or another, or that might might make us feel bad in some
Exactly.
sort of way. And this
Exactly.
balances things out so beautifully, and it makes us have a totally different view upon the world.
Exactly. The other thing I wanted to share with you that was another aha moment for me was that I love all gratitude practices. Don't take me wrong. And gratitude journals are a beautiful practice. But one morning I was at a loss for a thank you note recipient. And I was staying at a hotel, and I wrote a thank you note to the housekeeper. I said, "Oh, sure, I'm grateful for her service." So I wrote, "Dear housekeeper, I travel a great deal with my job. Thank you so much for all you do. I so appreciate coming back to a clean and inviting room at the end of the long day." So that night, I just happened to come back to the same hotel, and I opened the door, and lo and behold, there was a note from her to me saying, "Dear Miss Anguita." So she took the time to look for my name. She said, "I can't tell you how wonderful it was to be appreciated. Thank you so much."
Oh,
And I was stopped in my tracks again with another whoosh, and it said, "Unlike a gratitude journal, which stays with the writer, this actually touches the recipient." And I thought maybe she was having a bad day and her mood was elevated. So I saw this beautiful, it's like the wings of a butterfly that, caused the typhoon at the end of the ocean. This is just a pay it forward, kind of putting good energy and affecting the lives of others,
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
And there's this saying, I don't know if I'll be able to remember it correctly, that someone that feels appreciated will definitely do more than is expected. And
Yes,
we as human beings, we need to feel appreciated. We need
absolutely.
to feel that we have meaning in what we're doing. And people like you are amazing in the sense that you you help other people see that their work is
Yes,
appreciated. And I do
absolutely.
this also, but I do it, I just tell people, or I write on, I don't know, on Facebook, or I write emails. But I should definitely start doing this as well, and actually write these kinds of thank you notes, because I love the idea, and I can imagine how amazing it can be
Oh,
for that person. And they can actually take it home and take it
yes,
as a
it's
gift, as a
concrete.
reminder. Yeah, I
Yes,
love it.
absolutely. And the other thing about the handwritten thank you note, which again, all these things, Georgian, I'm not an expert on. I just discovered in my journey is
Hmm.
the handwriting itself is your unique fingerprint. Your handwriting is different from mine. It's different from my friend Jennifer's, and and it carries your energy as a result. So my friends, because I was writing thank you notes every day. So my friends received many of my thank you notes along the way. And they said, "Elena, when I open the mailbox and see your handwriting, I'm already in joy." So there's something about handwriting that I may not understand fully, but I know makes a difference. So again, you can text, you can email. Those things are fabulous expressions as well. But there's something so beautiful about your handwriting. And I know that I've kept every single thank you note I've received from my nieces and nephews when they were growing up. They've kept thank you notes they received from me. So I encourage people to, I know it's a big digital age, but pick up the pencil, pick up the pen, and go back to handwriting if you can.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And by the way, give us some ideas. So you told us the story from the hotel room, but
Right.
uh, to whom can we send these
Absolutely.
thank you notes, and in which
Absolutely.
situations?
Any of them. So they were as I'll give you some of the mundane situations for me. So one of them, I actually broke down on the highway. There was road debris that came from a truck. I couldn't avoid hitting it, so I had two flat tires. So of course I was on the side of the road, and then of course the tow truck arrived, and then I was sent to like the tire center or whatever. And what used to be a very negative, I would have perceived that to be a very negative event in my life, right? Instead became a source of lots of gratitude because first of all, the day was beautiful. Second of all, I did not get really hurt. So I was lucky, right? And third of all, everybody seemed to conspire to get me back on the road in the nick of time. So the tow truck arrived pretty quickly. The tire center was right there. The manager of the tire center just stopped all the presses and got me back on the road. And I said, so I was grateful for him. And so I noticed his name tag, right? You get very creative when you're wanting to write, because you want to surprise them too. So I noticed his name. I got the address it happened to be a Walmart, and I sent him a thank you note.
With colorful, high-quality, vibrant designs and unique laser-cut shapes, the Unidragon puzzles keep you engaged and create beautiful moments with family or friends that you can cherish together. It's also an effective stress reliever for when you want a quick break from the hustle and bustle of daily life. Go to georgianbenta.com/Unidragon or visit the link in the description for a 10% discount directly on Amazon with promo code GRATIT2021 for all Unidragon puzzles. Check out the reviews. People are loving them.
Or sometimes it could be somebody at the grocery store that helped me put the bags in my trunk because I had a lot of bags. And so I was be thankful for that person. Or I travel a great deal with my job. So obviously, if a concierge helped you secure a reservation, things like that. But then look around at your network of family and friends and neighbors who perhaps somebody helped get your kids, you were running late and your kids were coming from the bus stop and your friend was there to greet them. You will notice, if you pay attention, that every single day somebody's going to help you in a small or big way. Just pay attention and you'll find it. So friends, family, strangers, grocery store clerks, people at department stores, hotels, restaurants. Trust me. I hope I've given you enough examples.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. And I think it just widens our perspective on what can be done. And I'm also curious, how do you do it exactly? Like you also told us the story with the Walmart.
Yes.
Okay. And so you knew the address, you knew the name of the guy.
I found the address. Yes.
Yeah, and you sent a thank you note afterwards, right?
Afterwards, yes. Afterwards.
This is really
yes.
awesome, and I think the impact is even bigger somehow.
Yes.
But how do you do it? Like when you go grocery shopping or something? How exactly? Like you have a pen and.
I always have. Thank you notes, and I always have a pen in my purse, and I always carry thank you notes. But I typically will do it, let's say the grocery store. I won't do it right away. I'll go home and write the thank you note and send it to that person. Because again, I think it's about receiving something in the mail that is so special. Mm-hmm. But I always travel with thank you notes. I always have thank you notes in my car. And I have my gratitude journal, my daily miracle journal, tucked away in my purse, because then I remember, oh, that's a wonderful thing that happened, and I'll jot a quick little note. And then I'll go home in the evening and maybe elaborate on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
that makes a lot of sense.
It's really like a 3-step process, right? Pay attention to your day, write your thank you note, and then record the miracle if you found a miracle happen that day.
Yeah, so, definitely. I believe that every day we can find miracles.
Yeah.
They don't have to be big. You don't have to sell $1 million worth of anything to have it on your gratitude journal.
And I don't mean for that example. I just meant to point out that miracle was so huge.
Yeah, definitely.
It propelled me to write a book. But no, I think the most significant miracle to me at that time was the note to the housekeeper when she wrote back to me. I thought that was a better message, because I got the fact that it doesn't stay with me, it goes out to the recipient. So that to me was such a beautiful aha moment.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't mean to say that it's not amazing that you have big miracles, but you don't have them every day. Yeah. And if we just wait for big miracles so we can be grateful, it might take a while or it might not actually get to happen, because if we don't appreciate the small stuff, the bigger stuff won't be appreciated as well. So
that's exactly what it is. And I've reached the stage that, to me, almost every moment of my day is a miracle. And I know it sounds a little crazy, but when you do look at your life with things like that adversity was not an adversity, with my tire problem, that actually was a good thing that happened to me. When you start to label things differently, like adversity is no longer adversity, life is so much happier. You don't have the stress that I used to have. So I'm a different person these days, and I feel so humbled, Georgian, that I was chosen to go through this, right? That's that whoosh that came to me. And I feel for me to be the vessel of this practice, I am a humble servant and very grateful.
Yeah, I know the feeling. One of the motivations for starting the podcast was an experience that's similar to yours. So I can totally relate from that standpoint. And I know how it is to feel that, and it's quite amazing.
That's great. That's wonderful. And I'm not trying to plug my book in any way, but when you asked for, sample of people to whom to thank, or even sample thank you notes, that is why my book, it has, a group of people to look for, it has some sample thank you notes, because some of my friends, unfortunately, the millennials have told me that they don't really know how to write a thank you note, which sounds a little crazy to me, but I'm like, okay, well, let me help you through that process. That's why I have all tips and techniques in my book. And again, I'm not plugging it, but I just want to help people. I want to start a movement, as you know, and a spread thanks movement, and make the world a better place.
Definitely. I think it's very important for us to do this, and I can sense the power, because I've received thank you notes, mm-hmm. and of course the ones that were handwritten were indeed very mm-hmm. were and actually are very special to me, and I really appreciate them. And you can feel that person, even if it was like 2 minutes or 5 minutes of their time, they took the time to write something personally to you, and that's very special.
I completely agree. And the fact that handwriting takes a little longer than typing, I actually think brings your energy to a different place, right? Because you actually are spending 5 minutes in gratitude or recalling that beautiful gesture. That's what causes the shift. So it's this perfect little, very simple practice that can change your life.
Amazing. And in this journey of yours, do you have some really funny experiences that you have with thank you notes, or something that was surprising for you?
Well, I guess the surprise of being able to, and I don't know if it was funny, but to actually set an intention through a thank you note and have that come to you and mm-hmm. manifest, to me was this incredible aha moment. But there are so many funny things along the way, and so many, just life unfolds in such a beautiful, serendipitous way. Mm-hmm. Just most recently, I had my book launch just the week before last, and I happened to have left my house without my cell phone, which who does that these days? But I had. Yeah. And so everybody was looking for me because my book launch was that evening. Well, my neighbor, Carolyn, who happens to know this person by the name of Hoda and happens to be on television in the United States, she was trying to reach me because she was going to see Hoda that afternoon in Harrisburg, because Hoda was launching her wine label or whatever. But I wasn't home to get her messages. So she was ringing my doorbell, and she noticed that there were books there, there were boxes there. And she thought, oh, I wonder if those could be the books. And sure enough, they were. So she opened the box, took a book, and brought it to Hoda, which was this crazy serendipity, because my books had not arrived on the day of my launch. So that was a very stressful event. It wasn't stressful. It was perfect. They were supposed to arrive at that time on my doorstep for my neighbor to find one and bring one to Hoda. Did that my story even make sense? I just wanted to share with you. It was this crazy little set of circumstances where something that I thought was not to be was precisely the way it needed to be. So anyway,
that's amazing.
Lots of wonderful things along the way, Georgian.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And these things, I know from my experience as well, these things really happen once you, and it's, there's this book from, I don't know, from Hawking. It's with the scale of consciousness or something
Uh-huh.
like this. And he speaks about where you are, uh, taking into consideration the main feeling that you have most of the time. Like if you're living in gratitude, or in love, or different
Right.
kinds of feelings like these, there is this scale, and at one point it says that if you live in gratitude, with gratitude, a lot of the time, you get these kinds of synchronicities and like magical things happening.
Yes. Yes, yes. I think I may have the same book, and those energies are calibrated, right? And they
Yeah,
have, and love and gratitude calibrated at 500, which
yeah.
is a very high rate. And I have this beautiful quote. It's one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it says, "Hostile people live in a hostile world. Happy
Mm.
people live in a happy world. Same world." It is. It's your attitude towards your environment is what you can change. And you can create an experience that is totally joyful or an experience that's totally miserable. It's your choice. So I now choose to look at my life with gratitude, and it brings all these beautiful miracles and this beautiful happiness. The universe will respond to my energy, whatever that may be. So
Exactly. And the beautiful part is that quantum physics also um,
it's
talk
proving.
yeah, they are proving this, the fact that our experience of reality is subjective. So we might think that the world is something objective that just happens to be,
Right,
but it's actually the work of all of our subjective view on it.
right.
And
Isn't that great?
yeah, it's
Isn't that
amazing.
great that
It's amazing.
it's like science is coming around to prove spirituality, right? Things that we may have known intuitively or through the heart or the soul. And now science is actually proving that when you look at things, they're just the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right?
Exactly.
Um, it's amazing. It's amazing. I think every second is is exactly the way it's supposed to be on the journey that we have chosen. It's fabulous.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I totally believe that gratitude is so important with acknowledging this. And it's
Yeah.
something that isn't yet wired in our brain, and we need to get our brain rewired so we can focus on that. But you are
Right.
a standing example of this, that you
Thank
can
you.
definitely get to that point and actually live that gratitude each and
Yes.
every day, and enjoy the amazing miracles, even though
Yes.
they might be hidden sometimes, right?
They're hidden.
In different kinds of situations.
Right. It's the labels we put on situations because every moment is a miracle. I really fully believe that. And I feel as though I stumbled upon something that is so deep and powerful, yet so very simple. So I'm continue to be grateful that this spread thanks vision, if you will, came to me, and that I have the faith to start it, live it, and now share it, which is
Amazing,
what I want to
amazing.
do. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So, by the way, where can our audience find you? Where can our audience see your work?
So thank you for the opportunity to share, because I do want to create a movement. I have a website. It's called www.spreadthanks.com. And on the website, you'll learn a little about my journey. I have 3 little videos. I am all new to this, so if the videos are not perfect, please forgive me. I am just new to this practice of broadcasting, but it will give you a sense of some of the things I found about the practice. And you can also buy my book. And I am working on making a kit. The kit, which will be available soon, but it will include the book, a set of thank you notes and a journal so that you can get started without any excuse and just get started writing thank you notes and logging your miracles. So thank you so much. And also my book is available on Amazon.com, and it's called Spread Thanks, Create Miracles Through the Power of Ink. So thank you, Georgian, for the opportunity to share my story. And I love what you're doing with gratitude.
Thank you.
And I'm honored to have been part of your podcast.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure having you and having this amazing discussion about gratitude. Thank you so much for being here.
Anytime, Georgian. Thanks so much.